What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today is Monday, March 27th, 2023. I want to welcome everybody to today's live stream. Let's talk crypto. Today we will be talking about a lot of different things. Let me turn my face cam on. There we go. Today we're going to be covering a lot of different things. I think the biggest news today is Binance being sued. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to look a little bit into that. We're also going to be covering what happened last week with the interest rate hikes. We're going to be covering what's going on currently with Bitcoin and its current price, where it's at. I have a bullish and a bearish case scenario for you guys today that we're going to go over. We're going to talk about. I want to make sure to cover both. Because right now there are two different scenarios that could play out. So you want to always be ready for both sides. And then we're going to go over some news. We have Silicon Valley Bank was bought out finally. We have MicroStrategy buying more Bitcoin. Tero's Do Kwon was arrested. The NASDAQ will begin to offer crypto custody services by mid-2023. And Bitcoin's $1 million bet. So we'll be talking, kind of going over all of those things. And then at the end, we're going to do some live Q&A as usual. So any questions you guys have about anything going on in the market, anything covered in today's live stream, just drop it in the comments and I'll go back and answer those questions for you guys. So let me know how the volume levels are on the mic. I have the music in the background. I think I have it low, but let me know if it's too loud or anything like that, if I need to adjust it. Whatever it is, let me know in the comments as usual. And let's dive right in, guys. So let's start off with where we currently are today with Bitcoin. As you guys can see here, we're sitting at 27,115 right now. We're on the 4-hour chart. If we go to the daily, let's go to the daily real quick so we can see a clearer understanding of what's happened today so far. And we can see this wick down here. We wicked down all the way to 26,477. And that was probably about 2 or 3 hours ago that happened. And Bitcoin's price started to basically recover since then. So the wick down was basically when we got that news about Binance being sued by the CFTC. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But right now, we're back above 27,000. You can see it's been playing as a support level here. That's the worst straight line in history. Let's try a better one. That's a little bit better. So it's been playing as that support. We've had this up here playing as a resistance. And you guys already know that this yellow line right here is a Fibonacci level. That is another resistance level there. And of course, $30,000 is right here. So that entire area, basically from here to where it's been rejected right here, is all a big resistance. And we'll dive a little bit deeper into the price analysis in a bit. I just wanna kind of go over where we're at right now in prices. If we take a look here, let's refresh CoinMarketCap to see the latest prices. We can see that basically everything is in the red for the most part as far as the last 24 hours. So I actually added to my long-term positions today. You guys know that I like to add once a week, and I like to wait for a red day. I usually wait for a day like today where everything's red, prices have retraced a bit, to add to my weekly positions. So I added some today, and then if we look over the last week, the last 7 days, very different from last live stream. I think we were up 32% over the last 7 days. Today, Bitcoin's price is down about 2.5%. And if you go down through everything, you can see that the only one that's in the top 10 that's up over the last 7 days is XRP. It's up 21% over the last week. So it's currently sitting at 45 cents. We have Litecoin up 9%. Currently sitting at $88, and I have a video, guys, this week I'm releasing a video on Litecoin specifically, because in Litecoin we have the halving event that's coming in August, and I break down the entire history of the halving event since back in 2015 when the first one took place, to 2019 when the second one took place, and then this year in August when the third one's going to take place. I cover all the historical data as far as there's a we saw in both previous halvings, there was a pre-halving rally to the upside, then there was a big retrace, then once the halving happened, and then there was a post-halving rally that shot the price up a lot. In 2015, it was over 12,000%. We're not going to see 12,000%, but I think we have a shot at seeing possibly a 10x here, and I cover all that in the video that I'll be dropping this week, so make sure that you guys check that out. And you can see the price is already beginning to move up here. It's up 9%. If we continue down, just kind of looking over, you can see Arbitrum. This one was airdropped last week, which is why it's currently down 89%. So don't pay too much attention to this number right now. It's in price discovery mode. So that basically means we don't know what the actual value of it is yet. So everybody's just kind of waiting around to see where it settles down. And other than that, there's really been nothing that's popped out, insanely, right? So that's the main things, the main movers in the market this week, in the last 7 days. If we look over at the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, you can see that we've actually gone into greed for the first time in a while, right? So we're at 64, which is greed. If we look over the last year, let's see, this is the highest that we've been basically since March of 2022. So if we go to max, you can see that the last time we were here, it was March of 2022, and it wasn't even as high as it is now. The only time we've been higher than we are right now is back in November of 2021, and that's actually when we set the all-time high for Bitcoin, the recent all-time high. So that was we were at a 74 there. Currently, we're at a 64. So just, something to keep in mind there. Moving on to the economic calendar for this week. If we look here, you can see that there's really not too much going on this week. The main thing that we're going to see this week is going to be on Friday. And it's not anything that's going to really have a big impact in the markets. I think what could potentially have some sort of impacts in the market is the Fed, people from the Fed speaking throughout the week. So you'll see that there's a speech today at 5. There's another one tomorrow, I think, or this is actually the testimony. So this testimony tomorrow is for the Silicoin Valley Bank. I don't know how that'll affect the market, but something to keep in mind. And he's also doing the testimony on Wednesday. Then we'll have the jobless claims. Again, I don't know how much it'll actually impact the market, but it could have, small impact. Nothing too big though. It could bring a little bit of volatility. And again, we have another Fed speaking on Thursday. We have two different people speaking there. And then on Friday as well, we have another two people speaking here. And also we have a few other things coming out on Friday. So maybe Friday could be the day that brings the most volatility within the market, depending, of course, of what other things might be going on in the market. Like today, for example, when Binance was sued, we never know what's going to happen, right? So, but the next big event, we won't see it until April. If we actually go here and we change this to 3 stars, these are supposed to be the events that are the most impactful. So you'll see here a few things here, but the biggest one is of course going to be on April 12th when we get once again the CPI inflation data. So we're expecting this to continue down. And they also have the FOMC minutes coming out that day. So that'll be a day that'll definitely bring a lot of volatility into the market. Until then, it will, these things here, these events here will bring a little bit of volatility, maybe. I don't expect anything crazy. The biggest things until that next the CPI data is probably going to be news-driven events. So if there's any other sues, anything else going on with the SEC against crypto, they've been going after crypto constantly lately. So things like that is what will really affect. Is the only thing that's going to affect the market probably in the next 2 weeks. Obviously, banks and things like that as well. And the tone of the Fed going forward. So that should also, kind of affect the market a little bit there. Moving on, let's see, what do we got next? Let's move on to, let's talk about the Fed, the rate hikes. As you guys know, we got the rate hikes on Wednesday last week, and they raised them again by another 25 basis points. That pretty much what we were expecting. I think it was like a 85% chance or something of a 25 basis points hike. And there was a chance of like 15% or 16% of no hikes, right? So we definitely got that. Now, let me see if I have this information here. Hold on a second, because I think that now it's expected for a pause in the next meeting. So I actually have it here. Let me pull it up. Give me a second. Where is it? Here we go. All right, let me swap to the screen. So right now, this here is a target rate probabilities for the next Fed meeting. So the next meeting isn't until the 3rd of May, 2023. And right now, there's a 57.8% chance of no hikes in that next meeting. And there's a 42.2% chance of another 25 basis points hike. So this is something that we got to be watching. This will change depending on many things over the next month. This doesn't happen until May, so there's still plenty of time. There's over a month for a lot of things to happen for these numbers to change here. So this is what we'll be watching as we lead up to that next interest rate hike decision there in May. As far as the rate hikes, as far as my thoughts, I think there probably does have to be a pause, at least for the May one. Maybe they continue in June, or maybe we're at the top already of the rate hikes. But as far as what they said in their speech, what Jerome Powell was saying when he spoke on Wednesday, he said that there was no discussion as far as a pause for Wednesday, that they were 100% going to raise it. It was just by how much they wanted to raise it. He said that the banks are safe, that they are worried about it, but they have the backstops and the resources and all these tools available to them, that they're not afraid to use all the tools available to them in order to backstop all these banks, to make sure that the confidence level for the citizens and depositors are there and remain intact, so that there's not bank runs. So that's the issue right now with banks failing. There's that risk of bank runs, right? If the government can't backstop these banks from failing, then people are going to start pulling out their money from the banks. And as you guys know, banks don't have all the money that's deposited into a bank. They don't have that. Those are just numbers on the screen. They don't have that in actual cash, right? So if you go to try to take out, $1 million from a bank, you can't. There's no way that they'll ever that you'll ever be able to just walk into a bank and withdraw $1 million. Like if you want to do that, you have to call ahead of schedule. They have to try to figure out when they might be able to give you that type of money. And then usually if you want $1 million cash, they can't even do $1 million cash. They'll give you something less. And you have to be there with security and everything. They have to make sure that when you take the money, they walk you to your car and all that. So it's a whole thing. And again, you can't take out $1 million cash from a bank because they just don't have that money in there. So it'll be crazy if people start withdrawing money, and in order to make sure that doesn't happen, the Fed has to make sure that they're basically backstopping and covering and securing all these different banks, right? So that's because of that. They started the bank loan program where they're loaning money to banks and basically adding onto their balance sheet. Even though it might be different from the way that they've done it before, this still is a form of quantitative easing in the opinion of many experts in the field. So it's something to keep in mind and kind of watch, because as I covered previously, the last times that quantitative easing begun in crypto, Bitcoin 15x'd from that point on. So now if we look at Bitcoin's chart now and where it's currently at as far as the price, to 15x from here would mean that Bitcoin would go up to $400,000-$500,000. And that doesn't seem very realistic because it's such a big move up and because the value is so much higher than it was before. But I think it is realistic for Bitcoin to maybe 2 or 3x from its current point. So a 2x from here, would put it at basically over $75,000. That would be a new all-time high. A 3x will put it over $100,000. So I think that's a bit more realistic if quantitative easing were to begin, and if that's what's currently happening now. And again, this is just me kind of thinking out loud and looking at different possibilities. Not saying that that's gonna just jet up from here on out, but just things to kind of look at because the Fed has added $300 billion basically to their balance sheet over the last 2 weeks. So these are all things that we're watching, keeping in mind, and we just kind of gotta wait and see where it goes from here. So now let's jump into some of the news. The first thing, of course, is, let me switch over here. The CFTC sues Binance and CZ over willful evasion of U.S. laws, unregistered crypto derivatives products. So basically, what's going on here is that the Commodity Futures Trading Commission is suing the crypto exchange and the founder on allegations that the company knowingly offered unregistered crypto derivative products in the U.S. against federal law. The lawsuit was filed in the District of Illinois. Let me see. Offering trades for cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and some U.S. pegs, which suit referred to as commodities. The suit also alleged that the company, under CZ's leadership, directed its employees to spoof their locations through the use of virtual private networks. Let me see. Also, the other thing that they were talking about, because they're talking here, basically this paragraph here is, failing to register as futures commission merchant, poorly supervising its business, not implementing know your customer or anti-money laundering processes, and having poor anti-evasion program. So the price of Bitcoin fell over $1,000 after the lawsuit was first filed, while Binance's token BNB fell about 3%. And then the other thing that I want to kind of talk about here is that I'm not seeing it here in this report. I'm looking for it here. I'm not seeing it in this report. Internal chats. So I'm not seeing it here, but here, Binance trading activity. So Binance had its own trading activity on Binance, and during that time, during that relevant period, Binance has traded on its own platform through approximately 300 house accounts that are all directly or indirectly owned by CZ, as well as accounts owned by Merit Peak and Sigma Chain. So, and CZ also traded on Binance platform through 2 individual accounts. All right, so the thing with this, and the reason that this is not good, and again, this pretty much happens on every exchange, and this is a big thing why Robinhood, there's a class action lawsuit filed against them, and why Robinhood, there's been a lot of issues with Robinhood because people found out that they were basically selling their data, so companies could kind of front run what was happening there in with the trading, right? With trading activity, they can see your trading, and they could set up basically bots to front run whatever the majority of the people are doing. So they can see basically all your stop losses. They can see where you're taking profit. Like imagine you were trading and you can see where the majority of people where their stop losses were. You can see where they're taking profit. You can see where their buy orders are. You can see where their sell orders are. You can see where they're opening long positions, short positions. Like imagine you had all that information, and then with all that information, you can make your decisions on your trading. That would give you an insane edge over everybody else trading, right? That's basically what Binance was doing here with the 300 house accounts. Not only were they doing it, but they sold that same data to Merit Peak and Sigma Chain. So they were also able to front run everybody else trading on Binance. So pretty much Binance was trading against its own users. I don't know for how long or whatever, but that's basically what this was talking about here, and that's part of the lawsuit going on there. Let me go over here, see if this says anything different. Yeah, this is basically talking about the same thing here. And again, they were offering leveraged trading at some point for its customers, which is of course not allowed in the U.S. So that's all been filed there, and it's all pretty much what the lawsuit is about there. Let's see what else. In other news, we have Silicoin Valley Bank has a new owner and resumed its operations as normal today. So basically it was bought out, and it was bought out by First Citizens Bank, which is a bank. It's basically a small bank in North Carolina, from what I've read here. And you see here, today's transaction included the purchase of about $72 billion of Silicon Valley Bridge Bank. And it got the assets at a discount of $16.5 billion. So basically they bought it at a small discount, and it was the only people that basically put in a bid to buy the bank, from what I read there. So I guess that's why it went at such a discounted price. Nobody else wanted to even get involved or touch SVB. So that's pretty much what happened with that news there today, which was somewhat, bullish news for the market. But again, there's people that are still saying that, there might be more banks failing in the future going forward because, the Fed continues to, raise its interest rates and everything else that's going on in the market right now. So there's a lot of fear as far as banks with its customers. People are not really depositing money anymore into banks, or people are pulling out money out of banks. So there's a lot going on in that space right now. That's something that we definitely got to keep an eye on going forward, because as you guys saw, it plays a big part. And one, we don't want to get caught on the wrong side of that with our money stuck in the wrong bank. And two, we want to make sure, because remember, Bitcoin is pretty much has played as a hedge against banks. So if banks continue to fail, that means that Bitcoin might be a catalyst for Bitcoin to continue up. All right, so what else is going on today? This week, again, Saylor and Microstrategy is back in the news. They basically paid off their Silvergate loan and they bought more Bitcoin. They bought basically 6,455 Bitcoin for roughly $150 million at about $23,238 per coin. So they're already up a very nice profit on that. And as of this moment, let me see, MicroStrategy's entire holdings is up to 138,955 Bitcoin purchased at an average price of 29,817 for roughly $3.88 billion. So that basically means they're almost at break even, which is insane, because at one point they were down over $1 billion in Bitcoin and as far as their holdings, and now they're almost at break even and they're still buying Bitcoin. So that's definitely pretty bullish there. In other news, Terra's founder, KuCoin, was finally arrested and is now facing criminal charges in multiple places, including the U.S. The U.S. Federal prosecutors filed criminal fraud charges against the Terraform Labs founder. So I posted a video up on my YouTube channel with him in handcuffs being transported. So this is something to keep an eye on to see what happens with this. I'm guessing he will serve some time in jail, because he's facing not only is he facing from the U.S., he's also facing, I think, South Korea. I think he's facing in Montenegro as well. He's facing charges there. And who knows what other place is going to also start, file charges against him. So I think he's definitely going to be spending some time in jail. And again, we're cleaning up the bad actors in the crypto space. So I think this is overall good for the crypto space. Hopefully this brings that fear into those next people that might be trying to come up with this idea to try to rug pull for billions and billions of dollars, like SBF and KuCoin. So let's see what happens with that. Finally, two more pieces of news to cover. One is that the NASDAQ will begin to offer crypto custody services by mid-2023. The stock exchange will seek to complete all regulatory requirements and roll out the service by the end of Q2. So that's definitely very interesting. With the reason this could be bullish overall is because this can bring in more institutional investors. So bigger money, right? With bigger money, that means the market cap of Bitcoin could go higher. That means that the price of Bitcoin can go higher overall. So definitely some bullish news there. And then finally, former Coinbase CTO, I don't even want to try to say this name, Balaji, maybe, Srinivasan, I don't know. He basically bet $1 million that the US would go into hyperinflation and Bitcoin would go to $1 million. Now, the thing about this is supposed to be in 90 days. And so it sounds to me like he just wants to pay out $1 million, because I in no way, shape, or form believe that Bitcoin is going to go to $1 million in 90 days, aka a 3,600% gain within the next 3 months. That is a wild thing to say, and even I don't know why you would want to just burn $1 million like that. But basically said, let me see, hyperinflation is always driven by money supply increases, and if they bail out every single bank depositor, that would just keep the money supply constant, not increase it. Yes, it will likely print more than that to finance increased spending for political purposes, but you need an impossible large amount of printing to bring about hyperinflation in 3 months, and history provides plenty of evidence in support of that. So basically, in order for hyperinflation to happen, that means that inflation numbers has to go over like 40-50%. Right now we're sitting at 6%. I don't know why he would think or believe that in 3 months, in 90 days, we would go from 6% up to 50%. I don't know if he was doing this for publicity. I'm not sure. But this is definitely not something that's going to happen, guys. I don't know. That's wild to me. Again, long term, I do think Bitcoin can eventually go up to $1 million. In 90 days, it's not happening. I don't even think we'll go to a new all-time high in 90 days. I don't know. It was just wild to see that. And if you look here at this here, he basically says he cleared the air on his $2 million bet. And he said that his $2 million bet on Bitcoin reaching $1 million isn't about money, but about proving a point. So I don't know. It sounds like he just wanted to throw away his money. But yeah, that's kind of what that was kind of floating around this week in the market. So just wanted to kind of clear the air on that a little bit, talk about that a little bit. Again, guys, I'm gonna do now a market analysis. So I'm gonna jump into the charts for a little bit. I'm gonna talk about 2 different scenarios, a bullish case scenario, a bearish case scenario in Bitcoin that I'm looking at right now. And if you guys have any questions about anything that we've covered so far or that I'm about to cover, make sure to drop it in the comments. I'm going to do a Q&A at the end of this. So let's go ahead and jump into this, into Bitcoin's price action right now. So first let's start with last week's close. So let's kind of look at the weekly chart here. And you can see that after this massive green candle, we had this basically indecisive candle here last week, which basically we were flat. We didn't move in any direction. And this could be basically a local top before a retracement. As price goes up, when there's like when we start seeing wicks to the upside, especially at a resistance, that usually points to a possible retrace. Not saying that we're gonna drop all the way back down or anything like that, but a retrace is definitely possible here, where we can kind of pull back to maybe 25, maybe back here to 24, maybe even back here to this Fibonacci level, which is around I don't know if I don't want to say 18,000, but I think $20,000 would be a possible level to retrace to. Let's kind of take a look at the current support and resistances here. Let's move into the daily chart here. So at the daily, you see the clear resistance here. Let's kind of draw it here. We have this level here, right? That's going to be a big resistance there. If we go all the way back, again, let's go back into the weekly real quick. It's easier to see this. to draw it. If we go all the way back here, you can see that this is it was a major support, not only back here, but if we keep dragging this across, it was a major support here in 2021, major support here in 2020, 2021, right? So that's the exact level that we're sitting at right now, which is why it's a level that's going to be hard to break through. We'll need some sort of catalyst and big momentum here to be able to push through this. So it's not, right now, the way that I'm playing it is to the short side. I'm looking for short entries right now, and I'll talk about that a little bit more about that in a little bit. But that's the current resistance. It's a very, very obvious resistance. Also, if we bring up volume shelves, we can see again. Let me see if it shows a little bit clearer. Let me go into the daily here. I think it had a clearer shot. Let's see. Here we go. So again, you can see in the volume shelves here, a similar thing playing out, right? We have all this volume up here. So that means there's a lot of buy sell orders, right? And then we have all this volume down here. Now we have this small little gap where there's really not much volume, so it's easy to break above and below that level, right? So right now, previously when we got there, you see we tested it once, we retraced back down to this big level here where there's a lot of buying and selling activity. You can see that price held, that was $20,000. And then the second time around, we shot right through that level. And then again, here, there was nothing. And that's between 25 grand to about 27, right? 28 grand. There was nothing there, which is why we basically shot straight up from 25, once we broke above 25, all the way up to $28,000, $29,000. But now, guess what? There's a lot of people, there's a lot of activity up here. So this is not a level that we're just gonna break through, similar to how we did here with this level above 25,000. So it's definitely in the cards right now for us to kind of pull back to these levels right here. Because again, there is not much holding us getting above this level here. So there's not going to be much holding us getting below this level here. So this could push us back to a retest of around $25,000. Now there is, and I guess since we're talking about the bearish case scenario right now, to give more confluence, even more confluence already. If we kind of pull up the RSI indicator here, right, and we pull up a trend line, we draw from the top to where the trend is going, and we pick that same point there to draw it on the price, we see we have some divergence here. So, and this is a bearish divergence. So bearish divergence, of course, when the price is setting up higher highs, but the RSI is setting up lower highs. So here we had this high here on the RSI. We had a high here on the price. But what happened? Bitcoin set up a new higher high, and in the RSI, it didn't. It set up a lower higher high. So this causes a bearish divergence. That also usually points to a retracement. So it points to a pullback to kind of clear out this this divergence and get it back in sync together. The RSI and the price like to move together, and when they're not moving together, there's usually some sort of pullback. So that's pretty much what we're looking at right now in the bearish scenario. Now, I'm not going to leave you guys without a bullish scenario, right? So let's talk about that next. The bullish scenario for Bitcoin here, where it could break beyond $30,000. Let's remove these out of the way real quick. So now the bullish case scenario here is pretty simple. It's gonna be this, and this. So what that is basically an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Inverse head and shoulders pattern is a reversal pattern, and it usually gives you a target to the upside. Let me move this out of my way. So the way that you can measure these in order to get a target is you measure the basically the head, right? So we're gonna measure the head, which is about here, and then we're gonna measure it up to the neckline, which is pretty much about there. You can see when we broke above the neckline, that's when we get that breakout all the way up. So now we're gonna grab this and we're going to put this at the neckline, right? We're gonna put this at the neckline, and that's where our target begins. Put a little bit higher. Let me see, there we go. So that's the breakout, that's where the breakout begins, and then it gives us our target, which would be about $37,000, which is also in line with this Fibonacci level right here, sitting at $37,000. It's also, if we kind of look back for some confluence, it's in line, falls in line with this support level here, falls in line with this support resistance, in line with these support resistance levels. So it has confluence, right? It's telling us a story. We're looking for the pieces, trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And this breakout to that level does tell us a story. And all those pieces do fall in line. So there is that bullish scenario. Now, one thing to keep in mind with this bullish scenario, it is on the weekly time frame. And the reason that's important, because the weekly time frame patterns happen slower than daily time frame patterns, right? So on the daily, we have the bearish divergence, right? On the weekly, we have the inverse head and shoulders. So because the weekly is on a bigger time frame, it's going to have more respect, I guess is the way I can phrase it. It can hit at a higher rate, right? But it's going to take longer to develop. So both cases in the daily and the weekly time frame can be correct. We can get a pullback to 25,000, right? And then we can get a continuation back up where we break above 30,000 and do end up hitting this target up here. And both in that scenario, that means that both scenarios played out. We had the daily, because it's on a smaller time frame, that played out. We retraced. It gets the RSI and the price back together, and then we can shoot up, right? So again, these all have confluence, but again, this is a weekly time frame, meaning that we can retrace a bit before this actually plays out. This could mean some pullback over the next couple weeks here, and maybe towards the end of April, maybe going into May, is when we can see a run back up. So doesn't mean that we're going to see this right away, especially not this week, but just something that we're watching here on the longer time frames, for some swing trades. Maybe if you want to set up some swing trades on any pullbacks, any retracements here, that's the way that I'd be playing that right now. Now, with all those out the way, some of my predictions right now and the way that I'm currently playing it, I'm playing the smaller time frame right now, and then if once we start getting a pullback, then I'm gonna flip to play that bigger time frame. So the way that I'm playing this right now is I'm looking for, on any pumps up into that $28,000 range and higher, I'm looking to set up short positions right now. So anything above 28,000, I'm looking for short positions. Once those short positions trigger, then I'm looking to take profits down here, to start taking profits around here, 27,000. I had one short that I just took some profit at 27. I took some profit at 26.5 when we hit it earlier today, and I want to try to hold some in case we do go back even further to like 25,000. So I'm keeping those positions open. If we go back into 28,000, I am loading up on more shorts, and basically above $30,000 is where I'll look to close those shorts out and flip over into a long position. So that's the way that I'm currently playing it at this point. That's where basically what I'm doing this week. and for the next couple weeks, depending on what happens here. I think that's pretty much it. Covered everything I wanted to talk about. We're closing in on the hour. It's about to be 2 o'clock. So let's end it out with some Q&A. If you guys have any questions about anything that I've covered here today, drop it in the comments and I'll answer some of those questions. Let me have a sip of water while I look over here in the comments. What's going on? Ducky Dave, Heidi G. She said, good evening out of Belgium. Wow. Good evening. Again, just news from Binance. Yeah. J2 said, what happened to STEPN? So I covered STEPN. I actually spoke about it last week as well. I did a video on it. If you look through my YouTube channel, a live stream, it was like a 2-hour live stream talking about why I left STEPN. And to sum it up, I wasn't happy with what they were doing, the direction they were going in, and how they were kind of hiding what they were doing. That's not what crypto is about. It's not what Web3 is about. So I didn't like that. Brought it up to them, confronted them about it. They just shrugged it off. So I made it publicly known, and then we went our separate ways. And for now, I'm not investing in any play to earn type of projects because that hasn't been figured out yet. And eventually that all just becomes inflationary and the value of it does go down. So because of that, I stopped investing in STEPN and in any play to earn games, move to earn, doesn't matter what it was. Dave said, any thoughts on caps? Dave, I haven't done any research on caps. If you want to give me some ideas on why you like it or don't like it, and I could pull it up. I'm not even sure what caps is. So if you want to give me a little bit more information on it, I'll take a look at it. I don't know if it's this one here. Is this caps? If it is, it looks... Oh, you can't see my screen. Here we go. If this is what you're talking about, it looks like it had a big run up. Let me see. Well, it came out July 21st. If we just kind of, look for a very simple, right? Very quick and simple area, point of interest. Right away, this is the area that sticks out to me. Where this is where that drop started from, and it looks like that's exactly where the price is at now. So I wouldn't be surprised if it went down from here a bit. It looks like it's had a really big move up. Let's get it from here to where it's currently at. So basically a 500% move up over the last since basically this year. So that's a big move up. And we can also see some divergence, bearish divergence in the RSI and the price. So it looks like it's pointing for probably some sort of retracement here. It's at a critical resistance. It's had a 500% move up already. I would probably say if I had to kind of, and this is just from looking at the price. I have done zero research on it, and sometimes that can affect price as well. But from looking at this, there's an obvious resistance area here, right? It looks like it's pulled back to I can't see there, to the 50% area. So the 50% is never a strong support. So I would say at least I'll pull back here to the 61.8. That looks like it's sitting right around 30 cents, so it's not far from there. And then the golden pocket is pretty much between 661 and 78 here. So, that could be from 3 cents to 2 cents possibly. This could be a pullback area right here where it kind of pulls back all the way down here, ranges a little bit, and then, could then at that point continue on its way up. But I think a lot of it's going to depend on one, I really don't have too much information on this project. So depending what's going on right now with the project. Two, the overall market, if Bitcoin continue going up or if altcoins overall can go up, this could move up with it. If it goes down, then this could move down with it. So, from a technical aspect of it, this is a big resistance area right here. It's hit some big resistances as well. It's hit a bearish divergence as well. So a lot of things are pointing for a retracement here, possibly to the 3 to 2 cent area. Heidi, let your BTC in your wallet. I don't prefer it. It's no powering for the crypto market, but stay safe. Do you mean leave your BTC in your wallet? Yeah, definitely. So, especially if trading, when trading, I always recommend to make sure that your long-term portfolio is separate than your short-term portfolio. So your short-term portfolio is used for trading. If you want to, try to accumulate a little bit more, you can use 10% or less of your portfolio, depending on usually the size of your portfolio. So, the bigger portfolio, the less risk you want to have. So the less amount of funds you want to use for trading. The smaller your portfolio, the riskier you're going to have to be if you want to grow it. But at the same time, you don't want to blow your portfolio, right? So there's a fine balance between being too high risk and being too low risk, and you got to learn how to play that balance. All right, guys, it is 2:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I answered all the questions, and we've pretty much hit the end of this live stream. Thank you guys. I want to thank every single one of you guys that tuned in today. I appreciate you guys. If you have any questions, drop it in the comments. I'm always happy to answer those questions for you guys. If you're watching this after this was live streamed, drop it in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer those. We're doing these every single Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think it's -4 GMT, is it? Let me see. UTC -4. So every single Monday, let's talk crypto. We'll be covering a lot of different things, and trying to keep doing this every week. Again, this week we'll be dropping a video on Litecoin and why you should be accumulating Litecoin right now before its August halving. How you should play it, when you should sell, because we need to sell, take profits before the halving, and then we need to buy again after the halving for that post-halving rally. So I'll be dropping that this week. Make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And that's pretty much it, guys. Appreciate you guys being here. I will see you guys on the next one. As always, peace and love.